Hello and welcome to Atlas Forge. This is Andy Morbitzer, CEO Atlas Forge. This is about why cryptocurrency is the future of money, and it's going to affect your life one way or another for the rest of your life. So it's things you really need to understand. We will get started here. Cryptocurrency. I look at money and I look at its value. I look at its utility, and what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency really says to me more than anything, the thing that holds the most weight is freedom, because mankind has been controlled by money since biblical days, and they usually do it through fiat currencies that give them the ability to change the rules in the middle of the game, increase and decrease supply. So 4,000 fiat currencies, meaning backed by nothing tangible, gold, i.e. gold, have failed, and they failed miserably. And we're in the same predicament as we've been 4,000 times in history, as we're running an ecosystem based on an archaic financial Ponzi scheme, if you will. Because right now, the US dollar and all the currencies that are pegged to it are backed by literally nothing, the faith of the government or the central bankers. And well, we've seen how that turns out. So what does cryptocurrency offer us that really is just so exciting to me? Is it gives us the ability to own, maintain, and control our own money, meaning we don't need third-party permission. We don't have to ask the bank. It's ironic. We run several international companies, and whenever we want to do a wire, a lot of times you have to go into the bank. Why should I have to take my time, go into the bank, and usually explain to the bank teller how to do a wire? Because typically they don't do a whole lot of them, and it's time consuming, it's frustrating, and it's difficult to know if it's been sent, if it's been received. It's got a delay of, upwards 3, 5, 7 days, depending if it's domestic or international. So there's time, there's delays, there's verification problems, and oh, by the way, they're going to charge you, depending upon where you are in the world, $30 to $100 per wire. So Bitcoin's and cryptocurrency solves a lot of problems. It's just, it was sooner or later that the internet, the age of the internet in the 90s, as this came online, this huge social media platform that we call the internet, it's just natural that a payment system would accompany it. Everything is online, everything is digital. And then the other big reason is for, cryptocurrency, it can be truly anonymous. And with prying governments and privacy being very, very important, you can keep this money discreetly in a secure store of value where transactions can't be traced. So I guess the more money you make, the more you worry about privacy, and there's a lot of truth to that. Another reason I look at cryptocurrency and I look at the future, there's a lot of money to be made. People are saying, why is this so popular? Because we look at our current system and its failures and its indebtedness. Cryptocurrency is a little bit different. The majority of the coins have a set number of tokens, if you will, or a set number of coins that are going to be earned and mined and distributed, whereas fiat currency, i.e. inflation, or deflation, they can increase and decrease monetary supply, meaning print more money, expand and contract that monetary supply where it's manipulated. Central banks can print money as they see fit, and it devalues the currency. Now, you see that a little bit in cryptocurrency, where right now it's my belief that there's too many coins on the market, and we know that 95% of those coins won't be here in 5 years. So it's to your advantage to be on an Atlas Forge subscription on a monthly, or go in and get the discount for the yearly to keep up abreast of which coins to hold, where the market trend's going. That's exactly the type of information that we're going to put out. So cryptocurrencies, they fill a really massive void in the global economy. And it's so great because of the timeliness, because of the cost effectiveness. There's a true value proposition with cryptocurrency. It solves a lot of problems. And you can bet every institutional investor on earth is just chomping at the bit, because when that institutional money or that capital venture money comes from the big boys, why I still think cryptocurrency has a lot of room to grow. I get asked the question all the time, is it too late, Andy? Did we miss it? And my answer is, well, absolutely. You haven't missed anything. There's lots of opportunities, both now and in the future, of some absolutely brilliant products that solve a lot of problems that help people earn, save, and utilize blockchain and cryptocurrency well into the future. And we'll be covering a lot of those in the weeks to come. Different opportunities, whether it be a masternode, whether it be mining, whether it be staking. We're going to point out and we're going to recommend some altcoins or cryptocurrency coins that we believe have some great backing, some great utility, meaning they have a built-in base of tens of millions of people that they're going to apply these coins to those ecosystems, and they should have instant utility, meaning people will use the money. The problem up till now, everybody, it's been more of a speculative game. It's the same people that buy and sell the same coins on a daily basis. That's why you see the volatility. There's too many people that own too many coins, and when that happens, you're going to have volatility. So we were in really phase one of cryptocurrencies, where it was developed. The idea came from some, everybody says it's Satoshi Nakamoto, but cryptography and the basis for his white paper was really, I saw it way back in the 80s when I was in the military. They were using cryptography and combat information centers. So technology's been there. It's just been the application is used a little bit differently. Now we're applying this application to being a solution for the current problems in faith and currencies and economies around the world. You can bet you're going to see more and more of this, and I'll prove to you why, that cryptocurrency is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So its appeal, the appeal, as it started, like I said, back as game cards, as tokenization for gamers online, has turned now into what was a geeky like trading card environment, really morphed into one of the most destructive technologies in the world. And everybody wants them. They want a part of this. They see the future. But right now, it's really on the investors that understand macroeconomics, understand that the stock markets around the world, the paper asset world, the stocks, the bonds, the derivatives, the securities, the stock markets, the muni bonds, all these different paper assets, guys, they're living on a short period of time. All this generation and excitement that you're seeing in these paper assets they're printed dollars. They've been used. You always wondered, what did we get for the 10 or 12 trillion dollars that we've printed over the last decade? I didn't see any new roads or infrastructure, job creation, or anything. I didn't see any reduction in the social programs. All of those are bankrupt. So where did all the money go? And it's very easy to see that it went right to the central banks to bail them out. The car industry, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, high loan entities, why they bailed them out. And then it went right to Wall Street, because when a government like the size of the U.S. would print $10 trillion, you should have hyperinflation. And we simply didn't see that. We've seen some inflation, but nothing that would constitute inflation to the enormity of being the most indebted entity in the world ever combined. That $10 trillion went right to Wall Street. And that's why you're seeing these all-time highs in these valuations of these stocks. And it's a house of cards. It's smoke and mirrors. It's a big bubble, both in the bond and the stock markets. That's what's made professional investors so interested in cryptocurrency, because they're hungry for healthy returns on their capital. They can't get that without huge risks on the stock market. So be very wary, on the upside of these pricey stocks. A lot of money's piling into cryptos because it's great value. I mean, just look at the unbanked people of the world. Only half the people in the world, about 3 billion people, have access to the internet, access to money. And so then you get into privacy. A lot of these anarchists, if you will, and these privacy buffs love the anonymity to transactions using the web and cryptocurrency. A lot of people love the ease, the convenience, the store of wealth online. Now, There's ways that you can do it as well, safe ways. It's one thing to buy, own, and control your own currency, but you have to be responsible. You got to understand where to have it, what's safe, what's not, the difference between an exchange, a wallet, a cold storage, and on and on and on. So it's just like the current banking system we have, because technically we're already digitally using money. There's very little physical cash. Everything's done through a debit card, credit card, a kiosk, or an ATM, or whatever it might be. We pay our bills online. We do our banking online, but it's represented as let's say the US dollar. Cryptocurrency is the exact same thing. It just runs on a different operating system. Where money runs on, the SWIFT system, and you want to go get your money, you go over to the bank and you go to the ATM and you put your little code in. Same thing with cryptocurrency. It doesn't run on the fiat system, it runs on the blockchain. And for you to access your money and move your money, it's just like your PIN number at the ATM. You're going to use a certain code to move it, receive it, to store it. It's the same functions, the same things you've been doing now. They're just called different names. Now, the applications are much different because one is decentralized, there's privacy, there's you own, maintain, and control it, you don't need permission, all these types of things. So there's a great benefit of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. This way, we're all about Atlas Forge diversifying. And as we go further here in this presentation, we originally got into cryptocurrency. I don't know how many years it's been, 4 or 5 years ago now. And we diversified into multiple. Well, for example, we built this Atlas Forge educational site, All Things Real Property. And we deal in, the gold, silver, palladium, platinum, 6 strategic metals. Now we're going into cryptocurrency. We're going to start sharing some of our products that we're going to move us into the next 5 or 10 years. We're going to pick some cryptocurrencies. We're going to teach some mining, give some people, our followers and our subscribers, the ability to make some decisions on some speculative products that we're going to do. And of course, we always have the ground floor foundational products, the hedgers and the great places to stay, save, store, and truly become a global entity. So security, this is a big one, because the more money you make, really the more of a target you are to scammers and hackers and lawsuits and all kinds of litigation that is really just awful. And the majority of it's nonsensical anyway. It's people trying to take advantage of a situation where truly if you made a mistake, and a lot of times it's not even that, but as you accumulate wealth, security becomes a real big deal. Where do you put your money? Where do you absolutely control it? Does that mean gold and silver in a third party in a far off country where your current country can't lay claim to it? Is it in fiat money in a central bank where the dollars lose value to inflation, where they're subject to seizure? Look around the world, Iceland's, Greece's, and most recently, Venezuela, where governments just cut their people off. At least in Spain and in Europe, when they cut them off, they gave them 30 euros a day. I mean, at least it's something. The Venezuelans, those poor people down there, through terrible decisions of the government and fraud and greed, they were forced to Bitcoin to survive. So, every week that goes by, there's not a headline news that say some central bank did this or that, or a central bank closed down, made false claims, opened up fake accounts. I mean, they continually get fined or slapped on the wrist that, quite honestly, they should be in jail. But my point is, where's your money secure in diversification? Because dollars aren't safe in a central bank, for example. Stocks are very risky, and bonds are risky. You look at the stock market, you look at all your money, if you have it all in one, like 401k or IRA, believe me, I lived it 10 years ago, 2008, stock market crashed, the sell-off began, people got crazy. They couldn't get their money out, and all that they could do is sit there and watch their hard-earned money just disappear. Imagine sitting and watching your computer in a free fall. Your hands are tied, you've got no backup, you can't get in, you can't get out, you can't move your money, you can't get to it. And when the dust settled, you have half of what you used to be worth. Now, if that doesn't wake you up and if that doesn't give you some motivation to diversify, I don't know what will, because I will tell you this. The conditions that propelled that meltdown, the same economic conditions are present right now, but fourfold the effect of what they were 11 years ago. Because now we're more in debt, more insolvent. It just got worse on a personal level, a government level, state level, country level, central bank level. Diversification is key. So I believe in a little bit of gold and silver, a little bit of strategic metals, some cryptocurrency, some foundational, principled, long-term savings. And right now, because it's hot, it's trending, it has great use, it's ground floor, cryptocurrency and the digital revolution is happening right now. For the next 5 to 7 years, like I said, everybody asks me the question, is it too late to make money in cryptocurrency? And the answer is no, it's just getting started. If I did some numbers for you, let's just look at monetary velocity. Let's say there's $4.3 trillion a day that's moved. Bitcoin makes up less than 0.5% of that. We haven't even begun. So the timing is now. There's some great opportunities in cryptocurrency, and we're going to start sharing those. So the darn thing just simply won't die. See, here's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. It's died 50,000 times. If you listen to the experts, oh, it's dead. Oh, it's died. Oh, it's crashing. It's over. You're done. Well, through all the hacks, the splits, the thefts, the criminal activities, there's still Bitcoin. There's still a massive market cap. It's hanging tough a decade later. And here's the beautiful thing about all monies. I don't care if you go back to gold, silver, animals, silk, spice, credit card, Visa, MasterCard, payments, kiosks, mobile phone, cryptocurrency. All past monies, both real and fiat, are still in existence today. So that means a piece of silver from biblical days still has value today. That's the one unique thing about monetary vehicles, is once established, they don't go away. Now, how much market share they have and all that is a completely different story. But I'm saying is there'll always be a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency because it just doesn't go away. And when you have emerging technology, you probably need to invest in it, because longevity proves that cryptocurrency is anything but a fad. It's been around for a decade now. You look at all payment vehicles and processings, from the SWIFT system to the first credit card diners club from the UK in the 1950s, somewhere in there. It took 10 years. Visa, MasterCard, same thing, 10 years. Fast forward to debit cards when those came out. It literally takes 10 years to roll out a payment system. Now, in my eyes, even though Bitcoin came on the scene in 2008, for the first 5 years, it was only used as a token, as a gamer. So we're, in my eyes, only 5 years into adopting and penetrating the market. So that's my thought on that for today. The future of money. Central banks, and 22 of the world's central banks right now are paying negative interest on money. It's the one group, mind you, that is most threatened by extinction and the emergence of a decentralized cryptocurrency. Now think about that. Who's got the most to lose if cryptocurrency wins and starts to take away that market share? Understand, there's laws and regulation in place now, and they're allowing us to really operate in this ecosystem. And I thought that early on, and it was one of my biggest fears about cryptocurrency, was money has always been controlled by the powers that be. And now we have this new technology that takes that freedom and gives that power to the people. You could look at cryptocurrency as, the money of the people, the power of the people. Now you're starting to see the banks, whatever effort they may have used initially was thwarted because we're still here 11 years, 10 years later. So now you're starting to see the banks all around the world, especially Japan. They lead the way. They have 59 banks in Japan and banks all around the world utilizing a payment system called Ripple. It's truly not a cryptocurrency. It's the banker. It's deemed as the banker coin, but whether you're on board with that or not is really irrelevant. My point is, you're seeing initial infrastructure and investments to support cryptocurrency through major banks. And how do I know this firsthand? Well, of course, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, we saw it there. You see England, China, Canada, all these, and PNC, which is my personal banking. I got approached by PNC as a beta tester for one of our companies to transmit international payments. And of course, I couldn't do it because my company's not quite big enough. They're a multi-billion-dollar bank, and they took some big Fortune 500 companies, and that's fine. I'll get on board with them when they come down a bit as far as what they're looking for and get the bugs worked out. But my point is, the money behind this, central banks, institutions, Wall Street, you're starting to see a more glaring tell of disruption that's really unfolding right under our eyes. If cryptocurrency lives up to the hype and permanently it really disrupts traditional currency, you'll want to own some of it. And if this happens, once you see it 3 years from now as a mainstay, of course, the money-making portion will be well underway. I'm not saying you couldn't make money 3 years from now. All that I'm saying is the timing now, because of conditions, to me, it's one of the safe havens. I love the diversification of it. I love the upside of it. It's just getting started. So whether you're a cryptocurrency paranoid, if you're skeptical, you need to quit listening to all the hype out there and all the media. Here's the way I look at it. It can't hurt to have a little exposure, but it could hurt to not have none. And everybody's different. Everybody has different things they want to accomplish, and diversification, what they feel comfortable with. But cryptocurrency can be a huge moneymaker. We're going to introduce a new product here that's quite exciting, that has many positive sides and a utility for the future. So this might be the most important slide of the presentation as I end things up here. Give particular weight to 5G because it's the missing ingredient to the pizza. 5G is the missing piece of the puzzle. And why do I say that? Because if you knew what I knew, and you knew that the world would be autonomous, both in its thinking and its transportation, its logistics, its banking, its tracking. If you apply 5G to cryptocurrency, one of the problems with cryptocurrency has always been the block and the height and the ability to scale, meaning how much money can you process and distribute in a timely fashion. And well, of course, Bitcoin is nowhere close to like what Visa and MasterCard can do. They can do phenomenal amounts of transactions worldwide, like per second, like 1 million per second. Now, I know it's not 1 million, so don't hold that to me. But what 5G does, it takes blockchain and it makes it better. It makes it faster. It makes it scalable. So you don't have that lag on confirmations. You got to remember 5G is 1,000 times faster than 4G. So you can directly apply that to blockchain and confirmations in the ecosystem. It will improve it across the board. And then you look at 5G also, and the latest development in cryptocurrency, if you haven't read, is the battle for space. In the very near future, you will be able to run your bank or your finances without internet. The protocols now and the apps that are being developed through space, through satellites, will allow you to upload, download, do all these different things without even having an internet connection. So I apply that as there's 3 billion people unbanked around the world. That's double what there is now, and triple that the number of people that are online. So you're going to have 7 billion. And in 20 years, that's going to be 10 billion people. So 5G changes everything on speed of blockchain. It's always been one of those problems. For example, you'll be able to download a movie in 5 seconds. So the applications, what it will do for blockchain is incredible. Now we've got to look at what can we look at that's similar for the unbanked. Think of the marijuana industry in the United States. Think of that's getting passed by states, every month or every voting cycle. It just became legal up here in Canada. That you look at just in the U.S., it's 20 billion. I think somebody said in Canada it's $10 billion industry. But the industry, because of certain banking laws, even though it may be legal in those countries or in those states, banks, being a federal entity under federal law, can accept those monies and that revenue. So let's say that all these businesses that can't get banked, or the 3 billion plus people that are unbanked due to maybe they don't have an ID, maybe they don't have a driver's license, a passport, but they don't trust their domestic banking system. So you got 3 billion new people. You start looking at the amount of people around the world that, because Bitcoin needs no background, it needs no credit check, it needs no permission. So soon you're going to see Bitcoin on a phone that will leapfrog legacy banking as we know it for billions of people around the world. That's the demand. See, whenever you look at something and you're going to invest in it, you got to look at the supply and the demand. And you got to remember, where's it going to be 10 years from now? You want to invest in things that are going to be popular 5, 7, 10 years from now. That's where you make the money. Because a lot of times you hear it on the hype, and then of course it's too late. I'm assuming, and I read a lot about this, that the CME will launch futures, ETFs, and this will have a dramatic change in the value of all cryptocurrencies. But with that said, it can be dangerous, and we'll get into that on another call. A Bitcoin ETF ever launches, understand ETFs, even though it's institutional money, which is typically bad, it's an on-ramp for new investors. And we're talking about billions and billions of dollars. You look at the gold ETF, one that started, when was it? Probably 8, 9 years ago. They do 9 million purchases per day. Oil ETFs, 4 million purchases a day. You look at 10 million purchases a day, USD to BTC, meaning dollar to Bitcoin per day right now. So you look at most traders, when you look at the numbers, it takes about 1.7 of new Bitcoin a day without moving the price, meaning million a day without moving the price. So what we're moving into is the phase of improvement, meaning it's quicker, faster, easier, and cheaper to use. So it's really phase 3. We've improved it. We've scaled it. It's now time to move it into utility and usage. Either way, if an ETF comes online, it'll surely inflate Bitcoin price. Smart contracts, and I don't want to get too into smart contracts and these types of things on a very first overall kind of call on a coin. Just know that when we apply Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and its technology, if it were to penetrate and be used or color coded, for example, on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange or the Dow or anything like that, if it were to be adopted by a country, for example, where, take Estonia, it probably has the best chance to becoming completely cryptocurrency. It's advanced in 5G technology, cryptocurrency. These applications and these penetrations of new markets spawn new users, because as this is adopted by the masses, more and more people own more and more of it, reducing the ability for miners that can manipulate. And you see a lot of volatility where it crazily goes up and then it crazily goes down. That's the reason why. And that was fully expected. If you listen to our teachings a year, 2 years ago, or our past companies, we've preached, don't be greedy, get out, multiple times when this thing went up and came back down, just like I'm advising people what we did in the stock market. To me, paper stocks, we took all our money out of paper stocks. I think they're highly risky right now, very, very, very risky because of debt. and some very, very bad macroeconomic conditions around the world, and trade world wars, and war itself. And we've seen it, everything's cyclical. If you've been following our trainings over the last few months, we've got into inflation and cyclical events, macroeconomics, and why. So development of smart contracts, it creates new industry where really they can ride on the back of Bitcoins. And then you've got different companies that are making it faster, cheaper. Right now, when we started, it was very tough to understand what to do with Bitcoin. The hacking, what was real, what wasn't, where did we store our Bitcoin and why? All that's changed now. Now we have improved security, improved timing. You can do cold storage through, we use the Trezor, for example. I think we have a Nano S or two hanging around, and we completely keep our coins offline because security and is very prominent in what we teach. We'll get into that more, how to do it, why you do it. Future money. It's easier to purchase in some foreign countries where Egypt, Venezuela, India, it was always hard to get. So now you're starting, China just came out about a month ago calling cryptocurrency legal. So as an asset, so it's happening. And I would rather see all these heroic gains in this volatility. Guys, it would be much better. And I know y'all want to get rich and make a lot of money, and I get all that. But at the end of the day, understand the reasons why you're getting into cryptocurrency and what value does it add to you. Not as only a hedge, a store, a speculative investment, a great future. I would rather see Bitcoin continue on a slow linear pace of adoption than up and down and up and down, because it's going to happen. But all these heroic gains and crashes is just crazy. Most people don't understand it. Some people have lost some money in it. They got it at the wrong time and probably sold at the wrong time as well. So there's other ways that you can make money in cryptocurrency. You just got to know how. So we've made it very easy. Let's see here. Ownership is the commercial and transactional uses are starting to emerge in cryptocurrency, meaning we're starting to see usage where we didn't see that 3 or 4 years ago. It was a speculative playground, a big boy playground, and those that understood it and adapted it the quickest made the most amount of money. Now it's calmed down, I hope, and we start seeing a more an equilibrium, a nice, easy increase in value through utility and usage, not greed and linear thinking. So let's see here. Faith. The world continues to deliver moments that test the faith in fiat currencies. Since 2008, you've seen the crisis then, you've seen subsequent bailouts and quantitative easing, paper currency, expiration, like in India, where they did away with the larger denominations. They're doing this around the world. You're starting to see, you saw the hyperinflation in Argentina. You're seeing the government devaluation of the Chinese yuan. You're seeing, what else did we see? The Cyprus Bank and their confiscation of people's money, the collapse of Venezuela. You look at all these world and macroeconomic events, the world is really turning to Bitcoin with greater and greater velocity every time. So it's happening mostly because of faith. Bitcoin uses the rails for remittance and cross-border transaction. This is growing at 100% plus per year. Even though, albeit from a very small base, we've got a long way to go to really penetrate the market and get that monetary velocity where we need it to be, because it will, at that point, materially increase the demand for Bitcoin. The more users, the safer the environment. And I'm a true believer of that. And that's true with any asset, especially in paper stocks, where one entity owns way too much and dictates rules and so on and so forth, and it becomes very dangerous. Think of countries that are just terrible with their own finance, most notably here Venezuela. But Panama wasn't any better. They finally gave up, and so did El Salvador. They're just pegged to the US dollar and said, okay, forget it. We'll just stick with that and go with it. But my point is here, as these countries, it's very interesting to see the response of the masses when these governments go down. And we saw it a little bit in Spain. We saw a huge amount in Venezuela where the amount of users of Bitcoin skyrocketed. So that tells you some of the capital flight where, just like you're seeing now, institutional investors, and you can see it, the big drops in the stock market, where does that money go? Typically, it used to always go into, safe muni bonds or 10-year T-bills, or now you're starting to see go back into real money. And I think there's an awareness and a movement and a change on the horizon where real property, real money is going to become very, very significant. Cryptocurrencies, strategic metals, gold, silver are very much in our future. So the obvious here, the replacement of Visa and MasterCard, and the slides put on here, not because I believe that this is a different type of money. This is credit. This is not the same thing as cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency to me is more like a debit card. You have the money, it's in your account. With a credit card, you have a line of credit and a spendable allowance that gets very dangerous. Most people are very irresponsible with credit. It's the number one reason people go bankrupt and have so many different problems in life. It all comes back to mismanagement of money, indebtedness. It's terrible for your mind, your body, your soul. Debt will just eat you up alive. And just like the United States and the majority of the countries around the world, we're going to feel that pain of all this free money and all this indebtedness in the very near future. Visa, MasterCard, which have a combined market capitalization of almost 300 billion today, these are all huge, huge companies that Bitcoin slowly but surely get a couple here, a couple there, a couple here, a couple there worldwide. Before you know it, you have millions of people utilizing cryptocurrency as their payment method versus a debit card or a wire or a bank transfer. So it's going to take a little time. Don't get frustrated. Now's the time. Now that we're seeing a more realistic valuation of cryptocurrency, we can hope that it's a slow, arduous build, not jump up a mountain and jump off the other side. So I'm starting to see and read about a lot of foreign entities, central banks, countries buying Bitcoin for foreign reserves instead of buying gold and silver. So that's an interesting trend. When you start seeing that, it's just another piece of the puzzle, another group or a group of people that see Bitcoin for what it is, and it's true money. Increased ability to scale, lower transaction fees. This is all coming after SegWit, and the increases it had multiple scaling problems, and so the SegWit was really just a solution to that. It did some forks to a larger block size, increased transaction speed, reduced fees. So they continue to tweak it, make it better. But at some point, all of these cryptocurrencies, and there's, I don't know how many now, I think the last count was like 1,600, which is way too many cryptocurrencies. So that number, slowly but surely, the cream will rise to the top, and you'll want to be on top of that and part of that movement and trend. So that's what we'll do here at Atlas Forge, is we see breaking news or trending events or coins that have great utility. Why, of course, we'll let you know what we do, and that's all we can tell you at that point. So here's a great example of what I was talking about, Venezuela. This is what happens when your country closes your bank account. And remember, Bitcoin is about we the people, not unethical leadership. And you're seeing it all. Capital flight. Take a look at Bitcoin volume in Venezuela, increased 12,279% over the last 12 months. And there's a lot to learn from that, because you're going to see more and more countries around the world. And this is what's known as a capital control. It's a process that governments try to retain as much of their wealth as possible. They don't want their citizens or their masses to clean out all their bank account and move to foreign bank accounts, and it just makes the problem even worse. Even though that they were the perpetrator to begin with, so capital controls really are usually laws that encumber you or don't allow you to have access to your own money. As I said before, he who controls the money controls the people. So there's a perfect example why you should be diversified in both gold and silver and vaults abroad, strategic metals abroad, have some cryptocurrency, which is an online currency that, or actually money, I call it money, not currency, that allows you have access at all times. Your government can't shut you down. So if something would happen in your home country where you need money, this is a great place for capital flight, Bitcoin. So very, very interesting times that are going on. So we're going to start over the next several weeks getting into cryptocurrency. The next logical thing to do is spend some time at Atlas Forge. Give us a shout. Reach out to us if you have questions. We have a library back there of teachings and educations of all things real property, from strategic metals to the Internet of Things to all things electronic, blockchain, internet. So for those of you that want to take another step or earn passively with cryptocurrency, why, we can show you how to do that as well. So for today, that's it. Thanks for being on the call. Take care, guys. Have a great day.